Oh, hello there, everybody. I'm No02, and welcome. Let me start off by saying that melee is not dead. You can't just go around and two-shot mutations anymore. You can't just two-shot tall boys. But melee is not dead, and so this is the first of video series where I'm going to be talking about meta decks. That's right, meta decks. The idea behind it is these are the decks that basically do or accomplish a very cool thing that is uh, quite good and works in nightmare mode. But one thing that I want to talk about here is context. One thing that kills me when I see the other content creators showing off really cool decks for Back for Blood, the ultimate mom deck and the ultimate shotgun deck and all these things. When I see these decks and them talk about it, the one thing that I don't quite understand, or I don't think that they recognize, is that there's no context. And the two things of context in Back for Blood is what act are we doing, and are we playing with a team or are we playing with random people, right? Because if we're playing with a team, then we can cut some corners, we can have our deck do something very, very specific and be very weak somewhere else because somebody else on the team is going to be doing that. If we're playing with solo, then we need to recognize that we might have bots for teammates. We might have players who are not there because they're speedrunning. We might have players who are cheating. Stop cheating with your grenades. Anyways, right? There's a little context there. The other thing of context is acts. What act are you playing this in? And it kills me when I see people showing off the super cool grenade deck. Yeah, it's so many grenades. And their first 5 cards have no stamina, no movement speed in it. And it just makes me think of like, well, what happens if you're playing Act 1 and you get to the crossing? You can't run. You can't run. You're gonna hold your team back. You're gonna die in the boat. Right? What if you're playing T5? What if you're playing T5 and everyone on your team is running, but you need somebody to hold the stairs and things like that? Like there's some circumstances where you need some act specific cards, and you get all the way to Rolling Thunder in Act 1, and nobody on your team has use speed. No one. You're gonna lose. You're not gonna beat Rolling Thunder without a bunch of use speed. It's not gonna happen. And so that's what I talk about. What I mean by act specific cards. And so I have a melee deck here. Well, 4 of them, right? So these videos are going to be about this core concept of a melee deck or a grenade deck or some sort of shotgun accuracy deck or things like that, right? We still have a deck that has the cool gimmick win condition thing, but I've added some context in that I've alternate for each act, so that if you really love to play melee, you can take this melee deck and play a version of it on all of the acts and get your melee desires satisfied. The other context, though, I want to talk about, these decks aren't really built around solo queue a whole lot. If you're going to play with bots, these decks will not really work. These decks sort of require a measure of communication, or at least having teammates who are semi-competent. So if you're doing solo queue and you have human teammates, these decks will do a little bit better. But ideally, these decks are going to work best in a team setting. So let's crack into these decks now. I've been watching too much Pastilli. I was about to say, let's crack right into it. That's not my line. Okay, melee deck for Act 1. Hazard Pay, double grenade pouch. These are like, you know me, I love these things. Double grenade pouch, best card in the game. Vanguard for Blood Tunnel. Very, very nice. Do not doubt how much health you can generate. You're basically a support now with Vanguard. Cross trainers and superior cardio for the crossing. I do think that most decks should have some sort of movement speed, but we're sort of we're kind of cutting that corner and just sort of relying on having some extra stamina to cover distance. Bomb Squad. I talked about this. This deck's going to look somewhat similar to the deck that I made for my second team composition for Act 1. But basically the point is we have a melee weapon, and the melee weapon is going to heal us and kill common zombies. And that's the best case scenario for when you're using the melee weapon. Don't use this deck and melee mutations. It's not for melee mutations. You don't do that with this deck. Use your melee weapon to kill the common zombies, and when something scary shows up, like an exploder or a tall boy, you have Bomb Squad, and eventually you'll have improvised explosives to deal with those things. And so now our character is fully fleshed out. You can even run potentially like a sniper rifle with this deck, or just like, you know, in a circumstance where there's no common zombies but there are mutations, you use your primary weapon. Just keep in mind that we're going to have motorcycle helmet eventually, so probably a shotgun in the long run. Alright, so then Bomb Squad, to get our grenades up to snuff as far as dealing with tall boys. Face Your Fears, and Meth Head. And sort of like Meth Head, Face Your Fears, and Vanguard are like going to be the core cards of this melee deck. Like that is the foundation of pretty much all of these melee decks, is just healing. Because that's the coolest thing, that like melee decks are the only deck in the game that can so reliably provide temporary health, like generate infinite temporary health. Because your melee weapon doesn't run out of bullets, and then the game actually has infinite zombies if you keep triggering them or going too slow. Improvise explosives for the grenades. Extra grenade pouch, and we're here at 10. Here at 10, we're the diner. So again, it's just like you're holding out. You're going to be sitting in literally one spot. So having as many grenades as possible to toss at tall boys when they get there is going to keep consistency for your team. It's going to help you stay in that one spot for longer. 11 is Bad Seeds, mandatory PT. This is a more general card. This is the card that's going to make more sense when you're playing like with random players, because it's going to be good for your melee attacks, but it's also going to give you just extra stamina to move through a map that's really long. Because once you hit Bad Seeds, Hell's Bells, and Abandoned are like really long maps. They're super long. So the extra stamina is going to help a lot. Motorcycle helmet for Hell's Bells. When you get into the church, your job is to kill things and slash up zombies. And so we need you to be alive and healthy doing that. And the cool thing about having any amount of damage resistance on a melee deck is that you get a huge amount of value out of Vanguard, because every point of health you get will then take into account 15% damage resistance. So if you heal for 100 points of health, that 100 points of health actually represents 115 because of the damage resistance. So if we lose 100 points of health, of temporary health, and then we regenerate that 100 temporary health again, every time you do that, you're getting an extra 15 points of health because of Motorcycle Helmet. It's sort of like this really neat thing as far as extra health versus damage resistance. At some point, if you're gonna get two cards that both give you health, if you're gonna get Canned Goods and Hydration Pack, you should probably cut Hydration Pack out and get the Security Vest or whatever. Or just because over the long run, when you heal, damage resistance gets more value. Shoulder Bag. This is going to help us trigger Numb more often. This is going to be like our, oh crap, things aren't going so well, we need to move or get out of the way. And we can heal, and basically we have Numb. Again, with just 30 points of damage resistance, we're really durable. At this point, for Rolling Thunder, you're going to literally stand by the field cannon and just make sure that there's no common zombies on it. And don't even be afraid if there's a common zombie about to run up and smack your buddy, and slash through your buddy. Get that collateral. Give him a little cleave. Just because for the most part, the friendly fire damage on your melee weapon is going to be less than if that zombie hit him anyways. So yeah, that's it. So sort of basic foundation as far as temporary health and melee weapon. We use the melee weapon to kill commons. Strong grenades to kill mutations when they show up. And then just some extra health and durability. Right, Shoulder Bag is great because you get 3 pain pills, so that's an extra 120 points of health. Vanilla, they can actually get up, you can upgrade your pain pills and do even more. It's going to add way more consistency. So that's Melee Deck Act 1. Melee Act 2, you're going to see is pretty similar, but just a little bit different ordering, right? We don't get as many cards now. In Act 2, we only get 12 instead of 14. Hazard Pay, Double Grenade Pouch, Vanguard, Cross Trainers, and Face Your Fears. We have cross trainers for the armory because having a little bit of move and groove is nice for the armory. And then face your fields at pipe cleaners, because once you get the pipe cleaners, it's going to be all about you being in the front, holding a door or holding a tunnel. Like you can literally hold an entire tunnel by yourself a lot of the times. And so we just need to be a tank now. Meth head for hinterland, just sort of the round out that hold the door, swing real fast, heal infinitely sort of mentality. Shoulder bag for consistency as far as extra health, because if things don't go well at the door and you're taking damage, you need to out heal what you're taking, but sometimes you need to boost up. Also, too, if a horde event starts and you're really low because time passed and all your temporary health bled away, just pop one preemptively and just give yourself that buffer so that when the horde does get there, any mistakes that happen or any friendly fire that happens doesn't get you killed. Slugger to continue, the rounding out, because in Act 2, at least at this point, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to potentially just sit in a corner and smash things. Grenade pouch for more consistency as grenades. Notice, though, that we don't have bomb squad or improvised explosives. So here, I would actually recommend that you run flashbangs or pipe bombs, based off of what your team sort of needs. If your team needs more killing power as far as mutations go, run flashbangs. If your team has plenty of killing power, but you want more protection on your team when you're doing the crates, because card 9 is Broken Bird. So if you want more crowd control on the zombies, especially if you want to get a really fast first crate to get that nice slow period in between crate 1 and 2, you can run pipe bombs as well. Mandatory PT exclusively for Herald of the Worm Part 1, because you need to run. After you kill the ogre, you run. Notice here that melee deck doesn't really fit super well into Act 2 just in general. At least until you get to the boss rush, it really doesn't work there. But again, just motorcycle helmet for durability. And we sort of follow the very same sort of basic idea as Act 1 did. Except we have 2 less cards. And that's it. And another thing that you can sort of do here is just, you can be the flashbang guy if you're going to hold out in the church. If you get to grave danger, I recommend that you switch from pipe bombs to flashbangs. And you just flashbang the door over and over and over again until the breakers show up, and then you have somebody grenade dump the door. Act 3 is a little more interesting than the last 2 decks here, because we need to set up for something very specific, I think, for T5. For T5. So Hazard Pay, Double Grenade Pouch, Standard, Vanguard, Standard, Adrenaline Fueled. We eventually get Superior Cardio and run like hell, but we don't have room for those 2 cards at the start. But we do need some extra stamina for consistency when we get to T5. Because for this deck, your job on T5 is to sit on the staircase with one other player. You're going to sit at the top. You're going to sit at the middle, the plateau. I can't remember what that's called. In between the 2 staircases. And let zombies run up, and you're going to kill them. Because when 2 players stand on the staircase, typically a lot of the zombies, a lot of the pressure is aggroed onto those players on the staircase because they're pretty central in the house. So your job is to kill all the common zombies. And one nice thing too is that as the other 2 players who are running around the house getting all the crates, they can sort of stop by and hang out for a little bit, get a little bit of Vanguard health, and then keep going. Like they can, like a pit stop. But what we're setting up for is double grenade pouch, and then we have Ignore the Pain. We're killing mutations with this deck. We're not fully committed to it, right? We're not committing more than 1 card to trying to hurt mutations, but we're going to run flashbangs. You can run flashbangs or pipe bombs, whatever you prefer, up to T5, but you need to make sure that you can have exactly your 4 flashbangs once you get into T5. Because it's not really viable right now to kill mutations with melee super comfortably like you could before. Which is fine, because it was totally broken before. So the way you're going to play it is, When a mutation shows up and gets too close, like a tall boy or an exploder, you flashbang it. And then your partner, your buddy who's on the stairs, it's his job to kill it. It's possible too that your partner on the stairs also has good grenades, so you can, alternate between killing tall boys with flashbangs and grenades and things like that. But either way, the way this is going to work is when a tall boy shows up, you're going to let him get somewhere onto the staircase so that his body is blocking a lot of the horde, and then you flashbang him, and then you and your buddy shoot him and you slash him. And we just want to ignore the pain because of actually the health regen. It's just going to give you more survivability and etc. At this point now, we're at a friend in need. Motorcycle helmet, just a very safe general thing that you can run with any melee deck. Very, very safe in general. Slugger for... oh my god, what's it called? Making the grade. Making the grade is going to have a lot of holdout points, and so with a lot of horde and holdout points, just having more stamina, efficiency with your swing, and being able to swing faster is going to help you be more efficient to deal with the horde and take less damage. Superior cardio. There's a little bit of running at the end of Road to Hell, but we're really preparing for the body dump here with superior cardio and run like hell. Because once you get to the body dump, where do you go to hold out with your melee deck? There isn't really an area to do so. It's an endless horde. You can't really stop and hold out. So this is going to sort of give you the ability to run around the map. You can potentially leave your teammates. Your team can spread out a little bit. And you're just going to run up and you can just shoot or swing really fast and beat to death the nests in Body Grave, and that's about it. And so we can't afford any of the extra movement at the start because we have very limited cards to get to Ignore the Pain and set up for killing mutations with flashbangs for T5. And then there's some general stuff. Melee for Act 4. You're not really going to be killing the Abomination. Your job is to kill common zombies and flashbang mutations. But this deck is kind of bonkers. Berserker. Berserker says, the bigger the horde, the stronger you become. And you just can very quickly slash and hack and slash your way through a zombie horde. And with the extra movement speed, you can slash through a couple of zombies and then reposition. Because your entire job is going to be the bodyguard of your whole team. So ideally in this scenario, all four of you are sort of like working together from one tentacle to the next. So that way you can always be in front. We have Berserker, Slugger, Meth Head, and then Adrenaline Fueled. All the stamina that you're ever going to need for this mission. Period. You're golden. All the swing speed, all the stamina. Then we have our normal, Vanguard, Face the Fears. Now, if we're going to take the time to make a melee deck for Act 4, and your job is to do this thing, well, let's just make sure that you're immortal. That you can't die. So we have Vanguard, Face Your Fears, Motorcycle Helmet, Numb, Padded Suit, Spiky Bits, Motorcycle Jacket. You have 55 points of damage resistance here, and I recommend you play this with Holly, and you get up to 80% damage resistance. You are a tank, and you have a bunch of extra health because of Slugger and Padded Suit and all that stuff gives you extra health. But here's the weird thing. Look at this. We have Battle Lust. And then Trauma Resistance. This is sort of overkill, or looks like it's overkill. But on Nightmare Act 4, you can never be too safe. We're truly trying to achieve immortality with this deck. Immortality. And that at any point in time, if you end up losing your temporary health and take actual damage, not as much of it is going to be traumatized out. So you're going to have a healable health bar for longer into the mission. And that's where Battle Lust is going to come in. So even though we're getting all kinds of health with Face Your Fears and Vanguard, temporary health, you'll typically build up so if you take damage and you're hurt, you'll build up a nice layer of temporary health and then sort of heal behind it with Battle Lust. And you're going to repeat this cycle of being able to get all the way back to full health, take damage, quickly fill up on temporary health, and then refill your normal health again. And then body armor is going to allow you to repeat this pattern over and over and over again. But essentially, if the poop hits the fan and you're taking all kinds of damage, well, you're healing 5 points of health per zombie, as opposed to 3. It's just better. It's going to add more survivability. And then double grenade pouch and grenade pouch for flashbangs. And you're just going to flashbang mutations and then tell your teammates, hey, there's a freaking tall boy right here who's flashed. Please kill him for me, because I'm keeping the zombies off of you. And that's it. And you can sort of see the pattern here for this melee. My melee concept is just, it's Vanguard. It's the temporary health. We support Vanguard by helping us swing faster, so we can more comfortably deal with the Horde. And that's sort of it. Then you can sort of fill in the blanks around it. I'm going to do a video on the debuffer build as well, which is Mark of Death, which gives your team bonus damage versus targets, right? And then Shredder, and those two cards combined, and used with the white weapon, you can give your entire team plus yourself 25% extra damage on any given target. But that's it. As far as debuffing goes, those are the two cards. We have Sunder with a melee weapon, but who the hell's running Sunder? Maybe on Act 2. But I'm just pointing this out because there's a lot of these decks that have really cool combinations, but it's not a 15-card combination or a 14-card combination, right? This debuffer build, there's only 2 critical cards to it. You got 10, 12 cards to fill in the blanks around these 2 cards, so there's some interesting concepts that I've been thinking about and working on. So thanks guys for watching. This is the meta melee deck, I think, as far as just don't build a melee deck to deal with mutations, just build it to deal with the Horde, because it's so great at doing that anyways, and let your teammates or have grenades deal with the mutations for you. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the future.